She has been described as London's best-kept secret for beautiful designs and unconventional sculptural shapes. But who am I talking about? Deborah Milner, designer extraordinaire, sustainable fashion role model, and basically all-round legend. Today in her London atelier, I have the pleasure of meeting her. Okay, so Deborah, I want to know where it all began.
Well, I started out going to art college. I went to St Martin's, and then after that I went to the Royal College of Art.
Okay.
Where one of my fellow students was Philip Tracy.
Amazing.
So after we finished college, Philip was working in Isabella Blow's house, and after a period of time I was invited to have a studio there as well.
Is it something that you always wanted to be, a designer, or did you want to be something else?
No, in fact, I wanted to be an artist, and it was only when I was on foundation course in Carlisle, and I had a bit of a not a mental block, but a kind of artistic block, and the first thing I did that kind of freed it was fashion design.
And you know, when you talk about fashion, we always know that it's something which is forever changing. You know, it changes all of the time, and you have to make sure that you are fluid with the changes. Is that something that you find isn't necessarily that important with couture, or it is?
I think it's important. I think you need to be aware of what's going on and what's happening around, and the sort of nuances of design, and the cut that might work for one season might not work for the next season. I think though there's an element with couture, because of the way that it's made and that's such an intense part of it, it's not throwaway fashion.
No.
So you are creating pieces that are going to last. And I guess with a lot of designers, either it'll be something where if maybe it's not in fashion next season, or for 2 or 3 years they'll be able to pull it out of their closet again, pair it with something else and make it modern again.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Maybe you could put your couture jacket with a great pair of jeans, or maybe your ball dress you wear with a sweater. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's that sort of thing. I mean, myself, I think that a lot of the pieces that I've created are quite timeless. So I think there is that flowing through the pieces, that they have a sense of timelessness about them. That's not a conscious decision, but I think it's there.
Something that sort of naturally comes to you.
Yeah, but of course there are nods to what's going on. Like one cut of trouser is not going to be right every season. You've got to kind of change and go move with the times, but if nothing else, it would just get boring to do exactly the same thing. So this was actually one of the very first pieces we made, and the decisions on this dress, because when we started out we didn't really know what to do, and one of the ladies at Aveda said to me, well, what you should do is everything that you can do, but be transparent about where you've achieved something and where you haven't. So we use silk because that's a relatively pesticide-free, fabric.
Yes.
The silkworms won't eat mulberry bushes which have been sprayed with pesticides.
Yeah.
And then we bought it in the raw state, and then we looked at dyeing it with natural dyes. So we found this amazing lady who does natural dyes called Penny Walsh, and that was with a friend of mine, Karen Spurgeon, who went on to form a company, AO, after this partnership, where she worked on the fabrics. So this is dyed with natural indigo using a Japanese shibori technique.
There is this opinion that couture is sort of unreachable, untouchable, or it's only for the elite.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying, and I do kind of feel that to an extent myself. But I think that most couture houses would also have a ready-to-wear line where the ideas are filtered through, and it's almost as a kind of think tank, or even in some cases a loss leader for the company. This piece, we'd kind of moved forward, and by now we've managed to find an organza from these women weavers in India who weave in their villages. So it's a kind of fair trade cooperative. They're not certified organic, but they don't use pesticides or anything because they can't afford them.
Of course, yeah.
Although, as I said, silk is relatively
pesticide
free. But this time we kind of went a bit further with the dyeing. So this was a natural organza, not bleached or anything, and then we used a shibori technique. So it was overlaid with dye 4 times, building up the colour and unpicking all the knotting and everything as we went along like that.
So what is the difference between these two collections, but then also what is it that brings them together?
Well, the first collection was very much about finding out what could we do and then making a collection of it. And maybe some of the dresses were quite different one from another.
Okay.
Whereas this collection is a much more cohesive collection.
Okay.
But what I wanted to do this time was look at, this is what we want to do, how can we make it more sustainable? And I think that the thread that pulls them together is obviously the sustainability, and where that kind of, you know, connects and crosses over. And so I think it's a really good foundation for going forward in terms of what we might do next, because now we've looked at both options and how that works.
Yeah.
This piece actually goes right round into the back and comes into the front again.
I just get so excited every time you walk into the room. Oh my God.
This fabric actually has one of the best sustainable stories in the whole collection. It was a real triumph. And I worked with Karen Spurgeon, who worked with me on the textiles for the original Leaf Couture collection, and she now has a company, AO Textiles, that looks into all aspects of sustainability in textiles, particularly natural dyes. And she worked with Gainsborough, who are a traditional weaving mill in Sudbury. And because they still had their old-fashioned dye houses and machines and are set up in a very sustainable manner, they were able to translate their dye workshops so that they were able to use natural dyes on the weft grain. And it's one of the first times that it's been done since the Industrial Revolution, so it's quite an incredible piece of research.
So obviously Raminta has the most divine model body, and when she walked in I did gasp, in adoration I have to say. But how would you translate sort of couture into being more diverse, being there for everybody's or every woman's body type?
Well, I think in terms of, you know, the women who can afford couture, what they get is that attention to detail that was initially put into this piece. And so they're getting my eye, looking at their figure and working out, for example, where is the best line to draw the neckline to really enhance their neck. If there's a feature they want to hide, then we can kind of disguise that a little bit.
So, there you have it, an insight into the world of sustainable couture. I shall spend the rest of the afternoon daydreaming about couture dresses and probably planning a trip to see the Mesoamerican Reef. Make sure you like, subscribe and ring that bell to get notified on more videos coming soon.